Imagine for yourself a powerful sense of destiny, that at your birth you were actually fated to accomplish something great. Reassess your ambition. Ambition nowadays is almost seen as a dirty word, but it's not. It's a great thing. It's the source of anything that is powerful and fantastic in this world. Stop feeling the need to be so humble and self-deferential in life. If you have a pet project that you've been wanting to do, think of actually starting it in the near future. Repeat these meditations that I've given you on a daily basis. We have to understand a basic law of human nature. We are social animals to the core. We are incredibly susceptible to the moods and emotions of other people. All of this occurs unconsciously and non-verbally. Imagine a common social setting. We are meeting a person for the first time, and they come up to us, and they seem somewhat insecure and defensive. We can smell their insecurity. They're scrutinizing our faces, looking for any kind of sense of displeasure on our part. We can't help feeling defensive and guarded in their presence, and they pick this up, which makes them even more insecure. We end up feeling defensive in their presence, and we don't really even understand why. Now imagine the opposite scenario. We're approached by someone who comes up to us who is smiling and feels confident. They seem to be open to us, listening to us. They seem to like us without even ever knowing us, and we can't help but open up to them. So one attitude actually increases resistance, while the other attitude lowers resistance. There have been all kinds of fascinating scientific studies that have demonstrated this phenomenon. For instance, it has been shown that if teachers merely think that their students are smart and are going to get into university without ever saying a word, their students pick this up and they actually perform better than other students. Similar studies have shown that if we merely think positive thoughts about another person, that they are good and interesting, that other picks it up non-verbally, and it has a positive effect on them. Now, if you are a leader at any level, you must simply understand this concept deeply, for it gives you the power to influence people, to lower their resistance, to get them to follow you without ever even asking them to do it. So let's go through the various attitudes and the effect that each one produces on other people. The first attitude is the hostile attitude. The person with a hostile attitude actually expects and anticipates negative behavior from other people. Such a type of person with this attitude likes to present themselves as tough and in command, but actually they're deeply afraid of their employees. They think that people are never working hard enough. They expect mistakes and betrayals from others. They try to micromanage the actions of even the lowest employee in the group. The entire company internalizes this attitude, and it creates a hostile environment in which there's constant infighting and mutual suspicions. Ironically, this leads to the very mistakes and betrayals that the leader feared the most. I personally witnessed this at the company American Apparel, where I served on the board of directors. The CEO, Dov Charney, had this kind of hostile attitude, and it led to his downfall. The opposite of the hostile attitude is the empathetic attitude, the one that you must try to adopt. The person with the empathetic attitude begins with the opposite assumption, basically that people are good and smart and loyal, but that these qualities must be cultivated and brought out of them. I once consulted with a basketball coach, a coach of a team in the NBA. He was about to start a new job and he wanted my advice. His previous team had stopped listening to him and tuned him out. I told him that he had been too stern and too controlling, trying to control their every move on the basketball court. I advised him to let go and stop controlling. I advised him to think positive thoughts of each of his players and to treat them as individuals. If they made mistakes, he was to forgive them, but to keep teaching them. He could be tough, but from an empathetic starting point. And the results of this experiment that we went into together have been astonishing this year. The team has become much more cohesive. They are opening to his teaching and to listening to him. And they can take initiative. If there are any other bad apples on the team, the players themselves will do the policing for the coach. This season, the team is exceeding all expectations. They're having a very successful season. Okay. The next attitude is the anxious attitude. People with the anxious attitude like to present themselves as being very prudent, very conservative, and very careful. But in fact, they are riddled with fear. They value routines and can't stand any kind of chaos. They repeat the same strategies over and over again, and if there's any kind of stress, they crumble. They're deathly afraid of losing, and so in things like negotiations, they actually lose more by their careful and cautious approach. The entire company internalizes their anxious moods, and because of this, they miss all kinds of opportunities in the world. The company has an overall stultifying atmosphere, which is what you will find in a lot of large corporations. Now, the opposite of this is the bold, adventurous spirit, whom I believe Elon Musk exemplifies. Musk is like an explorer from the 16th century. He's always thinking big, a car company, a space rocket company, transportation systems. I remember talking to a so-called expert a few years ago who assured me that Tesla was going to fail. He told me that nobody ever tries to start an automobile company from scratch. The reason is that car manufacturing requires heavy capitalization. The costs of materials are extremely expensive, and labor costs are through the roof. He predicted that after a few years of being unprofitable, Tesla would go under. But look at what happened to Elon Musk. Through his bold and adventurous spirit, he captivated the public, which then poured money into Tesla stock. This supplied him with the very capital that he needed to create such a large infrastructure. It gave him enough money to wait out the couple of years of not having any profits. Now, the stock price of Tesla was and is incredibly inflated, but who cares? It became a self-fulfilling dynamic. His incredible belief in himself made other people believe in him and part with their money. The bold, adventurous spirit actually gives you the power to alter circumstances in your life, much as it did for Elon Musk. And people love working for those who have this kind of spirit. Next, there is the insecure attitude. Leaders with this attitude will often present themselves as being incredibly aggressive, but actually they have very fragile egos and are riddled with insecurities. This could be Michael Eisner, the former CEO of Disney, or it could be, I'm afraid to say, President Donald Trump. Such people cannot stand any kind of criticism. They have to be surrounded by yes men and sycophants. They constantly have to have their ego fed. Everyone around him has to be so careful and color their words. And so such a leader never gets to hear what is really going on in the world. And everybody in the group tends to internalize this insecure attitude and become insecure themselves, and become selfish and self-serving. Now, the opposite of the insecure attitude is the confident self-image, the confident attitude. Such a person has a very strong ego and an incredible sense of destiny. They act like a king to be treated like one. Now, I believe that 50 Cent exemplifies this. And 50 Cent is the one on the left, in case you didn't realize. Now, who is 50 Cent? He was a drug dealer, a common hustler on the streets of Southside Queens. Such hustlers were a dime a dozen, and all of his former friends and colleagues are either dead or in prison now. Now, what is the difference with 50 Cent? Well, from a very early age, he had an incredible sense of destiny, that he was destined to be someone very, very successful. He had this in his imagination when he was 9 years old, and it became a self-fulfilling dynamic. People who've been around 50, like I was for 6 months, you can sense this self-belief, and it gives them incredible charisma. Their confidence also happens to rub off on you. The next attitude is the entitled attitude. This is a person who likes to appear very aristocratic and regal, but they're actually very, very afraid of people. They expect obedience and respect without ever having earned it. They want others to do all the hard work, and if ever there is a mistake, they immediately look for scapegoats to blame. People who work for this type end up feeling extremely resentful because we live in times where people are distrustful of authority, and no one likes working for kings or queens. Such types often inspire hatred in their employees, and if there's the slightest setback, all the knives will come out. The opposite of this is the self-reliant attitude. This is someone who works harder, who's a leader, but works harder than everybody else, and is actually trying to earn their respect. Steve Jobs exemplified this. In his second stint at Apple, he was already someone very successful, but no one worked harder than he did. He held himself to the highest standards. He was a perfectionist. And if there were ever any kind of mistakes done in the design of his products, he was the one to blame for that. He took responsibility. And look at the effect of all this. All of his employees wanted to work that much harder to earn his respect and to live up to the high standards that he had set. Now, I know I have overloaded you with a lot of information tonight, but I want to now turn to how we can actually turn this information into something practical in your day-to-day lives. The first task is to assess your own attitude, and to do this, you have to have some distance from yourself. To assess your attitude, look at how you relate to other people. Are you quick to form negative judgments of them? Do you forgive people's flaws, or do you actively exaggerate them? We can also look at how other people react to us. Do we notice that they are somewhat guarded and defensive in our presence, or are they relaxed? We can examine the degree of connection that we establish between people. Do we always have to run after people to get them to do things for us? Or do they come to us out of their own desire and willpower? To assess our attitude, we can also look at how we face adversity. If there are mistakes, do we try to learn from them, or do we instantly blame other people for these mistakes? How do we respond to criticisms and challenges? Do we tend to always repeat the same stale strategies from the past, or are we open to new ideas? Remember, we can't see our own attitude. It is too unconscious. We have to look at it through our actions, through our patterns of behavior, and through how other people see us. On the same note, engaging the attitude of other people, we must avoid those who have a negative, unhappy attitude. They will infect us with their miseries, their constant drama, and their insecurities. On the other hand, we must associate with those with an expansive attitude, for they will infect us with their joy and their confidence. Okay, now I want to examine how we can actually practice this in our daily lives and expand our attitude. The first one on there is yourself. And I want you to actively try to expand your image of yourself. So here's an experiment you can do tomorrow. Try to drop everything that people have said about who you are and try to reimagine yourself. Think of yourself as having limitless potential with resources of energy and resilience that you haven't even begun to tap into. Imagine for yourself a powerful sense of destiny, that at your birth you were actually fated to accomplish something great. Reassess your ambition. Ambition nowadays is almost seen as a dirty word, but it's not. It's a great thing. It's the source of anything that is powerful and fantastic in this world. Stop feeling the need to be so humble and self-deferential in life. If you have a pet project that you've been wanting to do, think of actually starting it in the near future. Repeat these meditations that I've given you on a daily basis. Now, when it comes to past, present, and future, I want you to loosen your relationship with time. I want you to let go of everything in the past. Write down on a piece of paper all of your past hurts and traumas and pain and failures, and then look at it, and then take a match and light that piece of paper on fire. You're going to stop carrying with you your entire lives all of this emotional baggage. You're going to light it on fire, and you're going to finally let go of it. In the present, if you are facing some kind of challenge or important decision, I want you to drop the same old ideas and strategies from the past and try to look at it from a different angle. Ask yourself, what would Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or 50 Cent or Leonardo da Vinci do in this same situation? When it comes to the future, I want you to be a visionary. I want you to have a clear image of where you're going to be in 5 years. Long-term thinking is the only way to handle all of the chaos in our world. Every month or so, re-examine this vision that you have of your future and try and strengthen this vision. Turn yourself into a student of the zeitgeist, always looking for what are the trends that are about to happen in the years to come. And for that purpose, you need to look at young people who are always the signpost of future trends. Okay, next it comes to people. And once again, I'm asking you to loosen your relationship with people. Your first impulse is to always judge people. And I want you to take a pledge that tomorrow you're going to try something very, very different. You're going to try to understand them instead of judge them. Take someone in your immediate circle who you have never gotten along with and who rubs you the wrong way. Try as an experiment to figure out why they are the way that they are. Think of them as a fascinating character in a movie, and you want to understand their story instead of foisting your own story upon them. The next time you meet this person, try to think, without ever voicing them, some actually different or even positive thoughts about them, and see how they respond. Do they respond differently? Does it alter the dynamic between you? With the toxic people in your life, and believe me, there are a lot of toxic people out there, try to refrain from getting emotional and sucked into all of their drama. Try to understand why they are so toxic. What is their story? So that you can better defend yourself and not get all emotional in their presence. Next, when it comes to adversity, I want you to embrace adversity and even failure. An entrepreneur who has never failed once is not a true entrepreneur. By trying to realize your vision or your business, perhaps before you're actually ready to start, you will make so many mistakes, but it is only through the mistakes that you make in starting up this business that you can actually learn and toughen yourself up. Now, when it comes to death, your fear of death is the source of all of your other fears in life and what limits you. You need to begin to confront your mortality and meditate it on a daily basis like I do. This is not a morbid thought, but something that should energize you. It will make you appreciate every single day that you are alive. It will give you a sense of urgency to realize your dreams before it is too late. As in the story of Chekhov, by confronting your mortality, you will actually increase your sense of zest in life and your sense of adventure.